Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40k Universe. I am your host Gershwan, and today we're going to be talking about the orcs as we get into the Deffkilla Wartrikes. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40k lore videos every single day. If you have any suggestions for topics, please let me know what they are in the comment section below. And if you enjoy our content, thank our patrons on Patreon. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Deffkilla Wartrikes. When speed freaks hurtle into battle, they are led by the fastest and killiest boss orcs around. Some of these prefer riding into war aboard a rumbling battle wagon or a truck with their entourage of boys around them. Yet for the truly velocity-obsessed, nothing short of being at the front lines will do. Such lunatic speed bosses race into the fray aboard Deffkilla Wartrikes. Fast-moving fighting platforms, Deffkilla Wartrikes make little concession to the armored protection of their riders. After all, what boss wants to be seen cowering behind slabs of scrap iron when they should be getting stuck in? Instead, speed boss and driver both are exposed to the enemy, proving just how tough they are at braving incoming fire without so much as a flinch. Armed with an oversized boomstick, it is controlled by the Wartrike's crew, and it shouldn't be underestimated. Discharged at point-blank range, these stubby weapons kick like a squiggoth, hit like a truck, and can rip an armored warrior in half with a single blast. The deafening roar of a boomstick being fired is so deeply satisfying to any greenskin in earshot, for it bespeaks of some serious dakka. The main danger posed by a Deffkilla Wartrike comes from its monstrous passenger. An orc speed boss is a fearsome warrior at the best of times, but when mounted on the back of a hurtling trike, he becomes terrifying. With its oversized jet engine, the Deffkilla Wartrike can run down even the swiftest of prey, leaving behind a burning trail of flame that sets enemies ablaze. Wheel side spinning, the trike rips a red path into the midst of the foe, where the bellowing speed boss quickly gets crumping. Sometimes a Wartrike simply plows headlong into the toughest looking enemy formation its driver can see, at which point the speed boss goes apeshit. Warriors are hurtled through the air like ragdolls, lifted from their feet and headbutted to death, or smashed into the floor by the enormous orcs clubbing overhand blows. The speed boss may even be overcome by the desire to give the enemy a good kicking, leaping down into their midst and going on a rampage before hopping back aboard the ride, slathered in blood and guts. In order to fight on the move without requiring the Wartrike to slow down, many speed bosses go to battle equipped with a much-feared snag claw. This piston-powered battle talon is every bit as vicious as a normal power claw, but has the additional benefit of mounting a barbed grapnel attached to a cannon and several dozen feet of heavy iron chain. This allows the speed boss to effectively harpoon victims as he zooms past, and either rip massive chunks out of them, or on a particularly good day, reel in his snagged victim and beat the shit out of him at close range. And then there are those callous speed bosses that have been known to fire their snag claws into a victim, and then forget to reel them in, leaving the target being chain-hauled helplessly across the battlefield at breakneck pace. It's an abuse that few foes can long survive. Deffkilla Wartrikes are especially popular amongst the Goths and Evil Sun's clan. For the former, the appeal lies in getting to punch the enemy in the face as quickly as possible. The latter, meanwhile, prefers reaching the enemy as quickly as possible so as to punch them in the face. And such are the complex subtleties of greenskin culture. There is one orc in particular that made the Deffkilla Wartrike notoriously feared throughout the galaxy, and that is speed boss Gutrippa. Before Gutrippa, the Wartrike was just another ramshackled greenskin vehicle that was slightly more dangerous than a warbike, but when battlefield reports began to circulate amongst the Astra Militarim's high command of a crazed orc on a Wartrike that was targeting Imperial commanders and generals, the Imperium took notice. The fact that Gutrippa would specifically target the most well-protected field commanders and successfully butcher his way through their bodyguards, capture the leader, and then drag him in front of his own men, while the armor and eventually the skin was peeled off their flesh, sent shockwaves throughout the Imperial forces. Gutrippa has become an expert at demoralizing the enemy. By targeting his foe's leadership, he effectively cuts the head off his prey, and then lets the warband butcher the rest of the helpless carcass. Gutrippa learned this tactic very early on in his career. Like all successful orc bosses, he first had to kill hundreds of his own kind before he found a worthy alien enemy. During the early days, he perfected his proficiency with his Snagaclaw by targeting orc bellies. Once the enemy's abdomen was sliced open, it wouldn't matter if he had a faster vehicle, because the trail of his own intestines was enough to slow him down. In fact, there is nothing more satisfying to Gut Ripper than a perfectly timed shot that hooks the intestines of his enemy, and then he counts down how long it takes to unravel the entire organ from the victim's body. To the surprise of many orcs, Gut Ripper is not a speed freak at heart. He enjoys getting stuck in as fast as possible, just like any other orc, but the maintenance and care of his Wartrike he passes off to his driver, Varrock. Varrock was a true speed freak, having joined the Evil Sons clan as soon as he had enough teeth to buy a warbike. But when he witnessed Gut Ripper dismember his clan's warboss after the warboss tried disputing some trophy kill, Varrock convinced Gut Ripper to let him be his chauffeur, and together they would be the ones doing the majority of the killing. Soon an entire mob of speed freaks rode behind the sadistic duo and their Wartrike. Gut Ripper became something of a legend when he managed to chase down a band of Dark Eldar raiders who had stolen a couple of enslaved Humies from his camp. The chase took Gut Ripper and his crew into the terrifying dimension of Kamara, and while the Drukhari believed that they had trapped the orcs inside their realm, Gut Ripper was able to speed to the front of the raiding fleet, decapitate the pointy-eared leader, butcher the Humie captives alongside several Drukhari warriors, and still make it back in time before the warp gate was closed. Varrock even had time to drop a dozen stick bombs, causing so much destruction that the Archons of Kamara have put a hit out on Gut Ripper. This rivalry got the attention of Warlord Morok, and after a couple of squig ales, Gut Ripper agreed to join Wog Morok and has become the Warlord's toughest general. And those were 40 facts on the Deffkilla Wartrike. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. The second part to that lore is something that I created. It is my homebrew lore for my own personal Deffkilla Wartrike. He is the warlord to my crusading army that I am using on the tabletop. If you don't play the tabletop, there is a portion of Warhammer 40k called Crusade, where it's kind of like a narrative way of playing the game, and you actually get to pick each individual model, and every single warband or crusade army needs a war boss, and my war boss is this guy, so it's a big deal. He's not my like overall war boss, because that's going to be something that's maybe going to come later, like when I get enough points to bring in God School or something like that. But he's like a lieutenant or a general of the big major orc warlord, and then this is just my standard speed boss, they call him. So that's all homebrew stuff. If you guys are interested in learning more about my crusading army and the lore behind it and how I built it, check out our 40 facts on the Demon Hornets, or check out our 40 facts on, well, I'll link it up above, but it's going to be, so far I think I have the Deffkoptas, so check out our 40 facts on Deffkoptas, and there's a couple other ones. But normally what I do is I build, paint, and then if I do any type of kit bashing, I show that to you guys. But unfortunately, this Deffkilla Wartrike was built last year. It's just been sitting in my room for a while, and I was like, oh, I'm finally going to use it, because normally I use a big mech. And I have to say that having the speed of a Deffkilla Wartrike as opposed to any other of the HQ options, it's really nice. The speed, and just it hits really hard with the Snagga gun or Snagga claw. It's really, really good. So I recommend you guys picking up a Deffkilla Wartrike if you're an orc player and you're thinking about it. And yeah. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos, and if you guys have suggestions for any other topics, please let me know what they are in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first, and then